Hundreds of aging oil tankers cross the world's oceans in near total darkness. They've turned off their tracking systems. These are ghost ships, operating in plain sight yet invisible to the international order that's supposed to govern them. Welcome to the world of shadow fleets. Every commercial vessel over 300 tons is required to carry an automatic identification system, or AIS. This transponder broadcasts the ship's identity, location, speed, and destination to satellites and coastal stations. It's like a digital fingerprint that allows anyone to track global shipping in real time. But what if ships deliberately turn these systems off? That's where shadow fleets show up. A shadow fleet isn't just one or two rogue vessels. It's an entire parallel shipping infrastructure designed to move sanctioned goods, primarily oil, from countries cut off from the legitimate global economy. These operations involve, firstly, aging tankers, often 15 to 25 years old, purchased cheaply from legitimate operators who've retired them from service. Secondly, complex ownership structures using shell companies registered in obscure jurisdictions, sometimes changing hands multiple times a year. And lastly, opaque or non-existent insurance arrangements that leave no paper trail. It results in an invisible armada moving billions of dollars worth of oil every month. The modern shadow fleet exploded in scale after February 24th, 2022, the day Russia invaded Ukraine. Within months, Western nations imposed unprecedented sanctions on Russian oil. The European Union banned seaborne imports. The G7 implemented a price cap mechanism, limiting Russian oil to $60 per barrel. Insurance companies in London and other Western financial centers were prohibited from covering Russian oil shipments. For most countries, this would have crippled their primary export, but Russia had been preparing for this moment. Intelligence analysts estimate that Russia now operates or has access to between 400 and 600 tankers in its shadow fleet. These vessels have allowed Russia to maintain oil exports at approximately 7 to 8 million barrels per day, nearly pre-war levels. The ships turn off their transponders when leaving Russian ports. They sail to remote locations in the Mediterranean, the Indian Ocean, or near Malaysia. There they conduct ship-to-ship transfers, pumping oil to other vessels in international waters where enforcement is nearly impossible. These receiving ships then carry the oil to refineries in India, China, and Turkey, where the crude is processed and often re-exported as refined products to Europe, the very markets that banned Russian oil in the first place. The financial impact is staggering. Despite Western sanctions, Russia earned an estimated $180 billion from oil and gas exports in 2024. The shadow fleet made this possible, but there's a darker side to this story. Many of these vessels are maritime disasters waiting to happen. Poorly maintained, every voyage represents an environmental catastrophe in waiting. Coastal communities are left vulnerable, and the environment pays the price. Iran has been perfecting this dark art for over 4 decades. Since the Islamic Revolution in 1979, and especially after nuclear-related sanctions intensified in 2012, Iran has built the world's most sophisticated sanctions evasion network. Iran operates an estimated 100 to 150 vessels in its shadow fleet, managed primarily through the National Iranian Tanker Company. These ships employ techniques that would later become standard across all shadow fleets. Digital deception. Iranian vessels pioneered AIS manipulation, not just turning transponders off, but broadcasting false locations, creating ghost ships that appear to be in one place while actually operating thousands of miles away. Ships regularly change names, repaint hull identification numbers, and swap flags between voyages. Iran supplies oil to Syria's Assad regime, creating a sanctions-evading partnership between two isolated nations. The financial stakes are enormous. Estimates suggest Iran exports between 1 and 1.5 million barrels of oil daily through shadow channels. Venezuela, home to the world's largest proven oil reserves, was once Latin America's wealthiest nation. Today, it relies on shadow fleets just to keep its economy alive. U.S. sanctions imposed in 2019 targeted Venezuela's state oil company, PDVSA, effectively cutting the country off from its primary export market. Venezuela's shadow fleet is smaller, perhaps 50 to 70 vessels, but operates with increasing sophistication. The primary destination is China, which purchases Venezuelan heavy crude at significant discounts. The ships employ the same tactics: AIS manipulation, ship-to-ship transfers, and layered ownership structures. On December 11, 2024, U.S. Coast Guard and Navy personnel executed a dramatic helicopter raid on a 333-meter tanker called the Skipper off Venezuela's coast. 9 days later, on December 20th, U.S. forces seized a second vessel, the Centuries, a Panama-flagged tanker carrying 1.8 million barrels of Venezuelan crude to China. Then on December 21st, they pursued a third vessel, the Bella 1, President Trump announced what he termed a total and complete blockade of Venezuela's sanctioned oil trade, a significant escalation in enforcement that previous administrations had avoided. The impact was immediate. We're watching the emergence of a two-tiered maritime order, the legitimate, regulated, insured world of international shipping, and a growing shadow system that operates by entirely different rules. The shadow fleet isn't just about sanctions evasion. It's about the limits of international law in an age of great power competition. It's about environmental risk in an era of climate crisis. The ghost ships sail on. The question is, for how much longer?